Alright, everybody, the 2021 and Chapter 2 Season 5 FNCS details have finally been announced. So, real quick, let's just go right through these. Now, I have skimmed through this, and I have seen some of the major changes, and most of them are actually for the better, and some of them, they're going to point out some interesting ways. Let me show you what I mean. So the first thing is the FNCS have a $20 million prize pool, compared to the 17 million in 2020. So a lot of pros have been, I guess, mad about the prize pools and how low they've been. But now we know that all that money has been going towards FNCS, which is good. Now, another thing that's been changed is FNCS is now cross-platform. So you can play on multiple different platforms with your teammates. So for example, since I'm on PC, I can play with people on PS4 due to this new change. Now, another thing I want to go over is once you are qualified for the semifinals, you will actually not be able to play in any other qualifying rounds. So this will stop like any teams from double qualifying for FNCS. You can only qualify once, and then you can't play in those rounds, which I guess makes sense. And speaking of that, the semifinals and finals will be played out on separate weeks to both manage player fatigue and tournament operations. That's honestly a very nice change. It wasn't good how they had like one full day of non-stop tournaments, so now it's on separate weeks. And this is something that I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy about, but all of the prize money has been shifted over to the finals. So you will no longer be able to make prize money in the semifinals, and it's just going to be in the finals. So, the next thing is the top 3 teams from each region's finals will auto-qualify for next season's FNCS. So that's actually really cool. So if you come in the top 3, like in the finals, you'll automatically qualify for next season's Chapter 2 Season 6 FNCS. So that's a very nice change as well. Alright, and then we have different scoring formats, which they go down here. And then, down here, we have the schedule. So, all the qualifiers are going to be played from February 4th to the 21st. Then there's one bye week. Then there's the semi-finals, a reboot round. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I guess we'll find out. And then the finals for FNCS are going to be on March 12th and 14th. Which means, at a minimum, this season is going to go until late March. So, just a little FYI. Then down here we have the different, like, examples, basically. So this is for EU. This is just basically what you have to do to qualify. And then down here is another EU. Now we move into the prize pools. So here we can see all the different prize pools, and it changes drastically. Starting out with EU, you'll make $1.3 million. That's just how much they're giving out to players in EU alone. Next up is NA East with $690,000. Next is NA West with $300,000. Britain also has $300,000. Asia has $150,000. Middle East has $120,000. Finally, OCE has $90,000. Which I guess makes sense because OCE prices are lower than they are in like NA East and NA West, but I would honestly expect that the Middle East to be at 90,000 because there's a lot of pros coming out from Oceania. I'm not saying there's not a lot from the Middle East, but I feel like there's more in Oceania. Next, it just goes over where you can watch the events. Alright, and now this is the big thing: competitive gameplay changes. So these are the different changes that are meant to take place before FNCS starts. The lever action rifles, or actually no, the lever action shotgun is going to be added into competitive. But 2 things are going to happen here. They're going to vault the Riftfish and vault the Shockwave grenades coming up for FNCS. Which means the only 2 items you can use for rotations are bouncers and 0 point anything, like the fish or the crystals. That's huge. There's going to be a lot of players just fighting to get into the zone because you can't, like, I guess, stay in the air with a Rift Fish and you can't just instantly shock across the zone. There's going to be a lot of tunneling and a lot of fights, so I cannot wait to see how this plays out, especially if FNCS is going to be trios. I cannot wait to see what happens there. Next thing I wish they did right now, which is actually remove the IO guards. Thank the Lord. Those things are very annoying and can honestly grief your game, so I'm so glad they're getting booted before FNCS starts. Next thing, the sand tunneling will be in competitive playlists, so I guess that is another way of rotation. I just don't even think of it as a rotation because it hasn't been fixed yet. And as long as it remains in core playlists, it will be in competitive. And the final thing is they've made an adjustment to the amount of bars players start with. It used to be 200 on the first day of the 15.20 update, which was way too high. Now it's down to 50, which honestly I think is probably good. So I would keep it at 50, but I guess we'll see what they do here. Next, they're going to be bringing out a ton more competitions, starting off with Solo Saturdays. So there's going to be a lot more solo events coming up as well as trios. So for example, it says here the Solo Saturdays are weekly cash cups for Champion League players to show their skill and compete for the opportunity to win cash prizes. So unlike with the Friday Night Bragging Rights where you win a shout out, this one you can actually win some money, which is very welcomed. Next, we're going to bring out more trio cash cups and LTM tournaments. We have that Pele Cup thing coming up soon, which I don't think is going to be an LTM, but they're probably going to be releasing more things like that just to give us like, skins and stuff. Finally, the console exclusive competitions. Yes, there is going to be a lot of console exclusive competitions coming up in 2021. They are unannounced right now, but just trust me, this is a huge thing for all console players because even with aim assist, it's very hard to fight against PC players. But other than that, that is every change that they are going to make right before FNCS. So luckily now we know there's $20 million in prize pools. That's insane. And then finally, they are going to vault IO guards, add in the lever action shotgun, and vault Rift Fish and Shockwave grenades. Once again, I just don't know how that's going to play out in competitive, especially in trios, but I guess we'll find out. And with all that said, that's it for this little FNCS detail update.